Well, are you ready for a new tax? One is coming, called the rounding up tax. I'm here on the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond website here, and July 2025, not that long ago here, but it says here, key takeaways from this whole article here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can go here and read it yourself. But it says the U.S. government is expected to stop producing new pennies for circulation by early 2026. In 2024, the Treasury incurred a signage loss of $85.3 million on penny production. Way to go, government. But we're in the best economy ever. Remember that. Trump always says that. So it's the best one ever. We just can't afford to produce pennies anymore. Okay. As pennies phase out, businesses are likely to round cash transactions to the nearest 5 cents, resulting in a rounding tax. Right there you see it. A rounding tax. Using data from the 2023 Diary of Consumer Payment Choice, we estimate that rounding tax could cost U.S. consumers approximately $6 million annually. So they don't want to spend the money. They don't want to lose the money. It's going to be up to you and I to lose the money. Because things are so cheap right now and they're not going up in price and whatever else. Yeah. Eliminating the nickel in addition to the penny could result in significantly higher rounding costs, up to $56 million per year for consumers. So we're not even done yet. Oh, we're just going to have to round up, to 5 cents or down to 5 cents, and sometimes the business will lose, sometimes the consumer will lose, but it's basically just going to screw over the people of America that much more because the economy's never been better. The economy's booming. We don't see any kind of inflation or anything else here. Yeah, okay. But it goes down through here. I'll just show you this here. The impact of rounding on consumers. With the removal of the penny, cash transactions will likely be rounded to the nearest nickel. A common rounding rule is as follows. If the final digit of a purchase ends in 3, 4, 8, or 9 cents, the total will be rounded up. If it ends in 1, 2, 6, or 7 cents, it will be rounded down. Transactions ending in 0 or 5 cents are not rounded, obviously. So in other words, if it's the total is, we'll say $5.21, it'll be rounded down, and they'll say, okay, like if your change would be $5.21, then the store will only give you back $5.20. So you lose a penny. If it's $5.22 that you're supposed to get back, well then they round it down 2 cents below that. $5.23, well then, then they round it up and you get an extra 2 cents. What a bunch of nonsense. And of course, what are they doing? They're trying to point people towards just use your card all the time. Just use the digital thing all the time, because then you don't get any change back. If you're using digital money all the time, then you don't have any cents. That's pretty good, wasn't it? But here's a BBC article. I thought this was pretty interesting. Here you can see the whole thing. Businesses are running out of pennies in the U.S. U.S. businesses are literally going penniless. Since the Trump administration ended minting the 1-cent coins earlier this year, those still in circulation are becoming harder to find. Many stores are now rounding their cash sales down to the nearest 5 cents, saying there are no federal guidelines on how to proceed. Yes, there are. I just read it over here. But I mean, can you imagine going into the store? Probably have to have a little paper there. It says if it ends in 3, 4, 8, or 9, then give them, you round up to a nickel. If it ends in 1, 2, 6, or 7, then you basically say you're not getting your money back. I can't give you that in pennies anymore. But anyhow, it says here, that adds up really quickly, said Dylan Gion, Senior Director of Government Relations with the National Retail Federation. In February, President Donald Trump said producing the coin was wasteful and too expensive, and on social media called to rip the waste out of our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time. Oh yeah, you're getting rid of the waste there, but we're doing all this stuff, giving millions of dollars to, Argentina or whatever else, and millions of dollars to Ukraine, or not millions, billions of dollars. Yeah, that's not wasteful. But producing the penny, that's wasteful. Okay. The U.S. Mint officially stopped making pennies in May. The Treasury Department estimated shortages would start in early 2026, but they actually came much sooner. Banks can't get pennies from the federal government, so businesses can't get them from the banks. Literally went to the bank yesterday, and my son wanted to have a few rolls of pennies, and $5 worth of pennies, 10 rolls. And it was, I guess we can. I don't know, we're not really sure. Kind of crazy. But I'll show you the reason why they're panicking about this penny thing here at the end. It's very interesting how fake money works. We first heard about the issue in late August, early September. Mr. Gion said it's really impacting any business that deals with cash payments. Now store clerks don't know what to do when their tills are bare and someone needs change in pennies from a cash purchase. We'll just have the little special thing there, rounding up and rounding down, the round tax. The temporary solution for many, Mr. Gion said, is rounding the price of the sale up or down to the nearest 5 cents so the customer can use a nickel, the next lowest tender in the U.S. And then when that goes away, it's going to cost even more to the consumer. But some cities, including New York, require retailers to give exact change, and others don't allow cash payments to differ from card payments for the same item, Mr. Gion said. To avoid lawsuits and customer complaints, many retailers have chosen to just round down. You're talking about losing up to 4 cents for every cash transaction across multiple stores across the country, he said. It's unsustainable. Yes, it is. Redo the financial system. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. That'd be the smart thing to do. Many stores are now urging customers to pay in exact change. Others are hosting promotions for customers to bring in extra pennies they have at home. Might be a good thing to invest in there. Some pennies. Don't get rid of them. Convenience stores are some of the hardest hit by the shortage, said Jeff Leonard, a spokesman for the National Association of Convenience Stores. Convenience giant Quick Trip has announced it is rounding down to the nickel, which it says will cost it up to $3 million this year. American coins have been discontinued before, including the half-cent, 3-cent, and 20-cent pieces that were retired in the 1800s, Mr. Leonard said. It's been many years, though, since a staple like the penny, which entered circulation in 1793, has ceased production. Think about that. Since 1793, we've had pennies in this country, and now all of a sudden we can't afford it anymore. But the economy's better than ever. People don't want the penny until they can't get it back in change, he said. Good point. It costs nearly 4 cents to make a penny. But keeping the zinc and copper coins in circulation will help lower-income Americans who primarily pay in cash, said Mark Weller, executive producer or director of Americans for Common Sense. I think he meant to say HURT up here, but whatever. These are people that don't have the access to checking accounts and charge cards and banking services, he said. You hurting lower income groups when you start rounding transactions. He meant to say you're hurting lower, but anyhow. He also thinks the government savings from not producing pennies will be offset by the need for more nickels, which are worth 5 cents but cost nearly 14 cents to make. We're in good shape. Oh yeah. People watching the penny world believe there needs to be federal guidance for both businesses and shoppers on rounding, how to carry out transactions during the shortage, and generally what to do with the coins. There will always be pennies out there. It's just such a low utilization coin, said Mr. Gion. People forget about them in their pockets. They lose them in their couch. They're sitting in jars. Those are coins that aren't making it into circulation. Fake money requires liquidity. It has to continually be used. If it's hoarded, if it's taken out, then it doesn't work. The system starts to fail very quickly. And but again, the main point of me making this video is see how they're moving towards a digital currency. They could redo the Federal Reserve. Trump used to actually talk about it. I think he was on the InfoWars or something and said to Alex Jones about he'd like to end the Fed or something. He's a liar. The guy, Trump, is such a con artist. If you support the guy, you're really foolish. But end the Federal Reserve. It's a private corporation. It's not government. Get rid of central banking. The United States should mint its own currency. We need to have paper currency. That's the smart thing to do. Oh, we're just going to have all digital. Absolutely terrible. Perpetual inflation, I guess, or whatever else. It's nuts. But see, again, they want to do this other thing with digital currency, where digital currency will have a expiration date on it. So this $20 in if you sit on it for 3 months, it drops down to $15, and then eventually it just becomes worth nothing at all. But see, coins are at least worth something. Even the zinc penny, the 1982, halfway through 1982 and forward penny, it's still worth something. It still has some kind of a value to it, you know. But digital currency, worthless, useless. But that's what the Bible prophesied would happen. So what should we do as Christians? Well, the Bible says, "He who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way." We're supposed to hinder. That's what let means. Like with tennis, the ball hits the net, they say let. It means it stopped it. We're supposed to fight against the Antichrist system and say, no, I'd like to pay for this with cash. I'd like to have some pennies, please. Really crazy. So, if we haven't been screwed over by this government enough, now we're going to have a rounding tax coming up. It's going to cost American taxpayers $6 million a year until they phase out the nickel, and then it's going to be $56 million a year. You know, or they could just redo the Federal Reserve. But just thought that was pretty interesting. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.